Hello, my name is Maria Chung Willoughby, and today, start of the day, today, Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021, start of the day, comes from Ephesians 4:1, the King James Version, and I entitled it The Walk of Worth. Ephesians 4:1 reads, as the thought of the day today, I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called. And I think this is really important because a lot of times we go to our jobs in our workplace, and whether that job, we all have jobs, whether it's at a workplace for someone else or the personal work that we endeavor to do. And a lot of times we find situations either by socialization where people are lacking, and where sometimes even ourselves, we may find ourselves not, at the highest rate of productivity. And so when we do our jobs and go about our tasks during the day, we have to remember to walk worthy of the vocation, the work that we're called. People are depending on us. My mom, I remember when we first came to the United States and I was learning to read and write and speak English. I went to school, came back, and my mom, she watched me as I did my work, and she says, Morty, why, I forget how she said it because my Korean is no longer existent. I brushed up on some classes and whatever, but I need to put it into practice, and maybe that's something that I'll start doing here to train myself. But she was like, why are you writing it this way? Do you not feel like working anymore? Do you not like what you're doing? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, if you like what you're doing, then take your time, do it slow, do it right. Now, pulling from the African American side of my family, I remember the song, baby, if you do it, something, take your time, do it right. We can do it, baby. And it's not related to that, but in my childhood mind, of course, that's what I'm thinking. Take your time, do it right. If you want to do something, do it right. I remember, again, in my professional career, there was a girl that I worked with at the bank, and she was just like, I guess she made a mistake, and, I called her on it, gently, of course, and she was just like, you know what, you don't never have to tell me something twice, because she's like, you tell me once, I never make the same mistake twice. And I love the way she said that. So true. And that's the way that we have to lead our lives. We have to lead our lives in a way where we're striving for perfection. When I was growing up, people were trying to down that. But no, we have to strive to do our best and strive to be excellent. Does it mean that we will represent that immediately? No, especially if we become untrained from that by systems in society that are in place. And you got to remember the reason that we may have become untrained in that is because a lot of money is made off of people's misery. So in order to not to be miserable, we have to be excellent. And that means that we have to strive to do our best in each and everything that we do. There's no excuse not to. We have this life to live, and in this life we don't live alone. And the things that we do and how we do them affect others. I remember when I was going through the legal situation, going to court, and there was attorneys. My goodness. I remember having a situation where there was a court appointed when I didn't know any better. The guy looked like he just rolled out of bed and was partying all night. His suit was like from the 70s and all wrinkled. Come on, Then the next, they know that, the system is going to go to whatever they want. The next situation that I saw was going to court, and there was an attorney, and I was halfway listening, but the opposing attorney jumped in and said, sir, counsel, I think you're addressing the wrong case. And that is absolutely frightening. This man was like 70 years old. Maybe not that old, maybe somewhere between 50 and 60. He was older. But the opposing attorney was the one that stepped in and said, sir, I think you are referring to the wrong case. And the scary thing about this is, this man has a type of job that can affect somebody's life. And not only their life, but the lives of people that love and care about them, which is probably why I'm disowning. But it can affect the lives and of the people that care about that person. And what he was doing was, excuse me, just a moment. The judge was talking about a particular case, and he asked his opinion on it. This guy was about to condemn this guy for this, that, and other, and mention a whole bunch of things that had nothing to do with it. And had that other attorney not been sharp and not been of good, decent moral stature and said, hey, you're talking about the wrong case, he could have easily gotten all these different charges that were supposed to go to somebody else on his case. And I remember when I left that courtroom that day and I went to the court clerks, and there were other attorneys in there, and one of the attorneys, they would talk to me occasionally. And I said, how can these people practice law? How can they with a clear conscience and mind practice law? If you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it, especially if you're getting paid big bucks to do so. You're making a living doing so, and you're affecting the lives of people doing so. You shouldn't be doing it. And I remember how I was like in my early 30s, how appalled I was, because I was like, I wouldn't even work at McDonald's if I knew I didn't do a good job, or if I slept on something that's that important. I would not flip a burger at McDonald's if I knew I was not doing a good job. You guys. And what that other attorney said to me and brought me into, the real world that I didn't like, he says, well, he has to work and such and such and such. I couldn't believe he backed him up. And this quote unquote other attorney I was talking to seemed like just a decent human being. But my goodness, if you're not qualified to do the work that you're trying to do, if you're not willing to put forth the effort to be alert and be cognizant in the work that you're trying to do, you shouldn't have to. This goes into the victim of the criminal justice system thing. You shouldn't have to call on an attorney or another attorney of the opposing party. Suppose he didn't want to speak up. Suppose he wasn't paying attention. You could have impacted this other person's life to the point where they would have had additional legal things. And then how when they call off, well, this person, they resist whatever the original charge was. They say, oh, and then he had all these other charges that had nothing to do with him, but it's still going to stay there for somebody to state it and read it and say it like it's fact. And there's so many other nuances of the legal system that can put bad impressions as well. But that was frightening to me. Frightening. And that person was probably so overwhelmed in court, it all just sounded like gibberish to them. It's not fair. So whatever job that you do, make sure that you're walking worthy of the vocation wherewith you are called. And again, like I said, when you point fingers at other people, it's pointing back at you. You can't control what everybody else does. But as far as you and your job, whether it be your job working with someone else or whether it be a task that you're doing in your house, make sure that you do it to the best of your ability. And if, where a lot of us have become traumatized, where perhaps the way that we produce and do everything else may be a little different than what our expectations are, be cognizant of it. And work towards perfection, work towards excellence, work towards being a better steward of whatever it is that you're doing. And I go back to what my mom said, take your time and do it right. Baby, if you do it, take your time, do it right. You can do it, baby. Do it all your life. Because you got a lifetime until God calls you home to practice to do the things the right way. Why be sloppy? Why halfway do it if you can't? If you don't have to? Try. It's not going to be perfect. Look at my surroundings. Not perfect. But whatever it is that we intend to do, whatever it is that we're focusing, we have to make a conscious effort to do the best that we can. Not only are our lives depending on it, our environment is depending on it, the people that we interact with depending on it. But anyways, I love you. This is Maria Chung Willoughby sharing my story about the thought of the day, the walk of the word, based on Ephesians 4:1. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, support me by subscribing, letting the videos play in the background. I love you guys. Have a great day.